of us would secretly love to have a complete professional makeover to help us make the best of ourselves. Well, Renault has made the Twingo's dreams come true with a total revamp that puts it into the super stylish category with city cars like the Fiat 500. The before version of the Twingo was a decent enough city car, but not exactly the last word in style. And here's the after shot, a cute looking city car that looks like it just stepped out of a salon. It's also had some more dramatic work done. It's had the engine moved from under the bonnet to the boot, and it's also got 2 extra rear doors. As cities go, Cheltenham is classical and elegant. But in keeping with the Twingo's youthful makeover, we're going to take it to Bristol, a city that's enjoying a redesign of its own. As we all know, looks aren't everything. How well the car drives and how practical it is are just as important. We're testing the 70 brake horsepower engine in the Twingo. It's the lower powered of the 2 available, but it's actually the smoother and sweeter to drive. It feels perky enough around town, although I've had to use first gear to get to the top of some of Bristol's steepest hills. On less than perfect roads, and with the 16-inch wheels fitted, you do feel every ripple in the road, however. 2 things make the Twingo perfect for city living. Its tiny dimensions make it easy to park, and the fact that the engine is driving the rear wheels mean the front wheels turn through a tiny turning circle, so manoeuvring is a doddle. We've made a quick stop here in Bristol Marina to check out Banksy's latest work, which sadly has been given a makeover of its own already. Now we're off to meet urban designer Vaughan Thompson.
Bristol's continually invested in renewing the city. This space that we're in at the moment has a substantial amount of space given over to shared recreation space, trees and landscape, and areas where people who live in these flats can actually enjoy being outside. In new environments like this, there are layers of design. Quite obviously you can see the quality of the landscape, the trees, the seats, the quality of the paving, but you'll also see there are areas that are designed for walking on as well as driving. So it is very much like building up a layered approach where these elements weave into each other into a single public space. It is quite a delicate balancing act.
So there's a lot more to design than simply looking good or functioning really well. We also use it to tell the world something about ourselves. I'm off to find out more about making a good first impression. We've come to Clifton Village, one of the most stylish shopping areas in Bristol, and exactly the sort of place you'd expect to find a Twingo. The car feels designed for a youthful feeling driver of any age with an eye for style. The number of details you can personalise is astounding, and that means if you put your mind to it, you can almost guarantee you'll never see another identical one. The model we're testing has pinstripe decals down the side and white detailing on the sides and door mirrors. But if you'd rather have sporty or retro decals or change the interior colours, you can. I'm meeting image consultant and personal stylist Karen Lowe to find out some trade secrets and discover what our choice of clothes and car might say about us. We don't have enough time to restyle me, sadly, but perhaps I'll pick up some tips.
First impressions are so important because, as the saying goes, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. If you think that the clothes that you wear, your image, your style is the first things that people really notice about you, I always say to clients that your image is like your own shop front. So what is that shop front saying about you? And that is your first impression. The things to think about when choosing colours for your car, there's so much choice available now to personalise your car that I think you should think about the colours that you respond to really well. Colours that sort of uplift you maybe, that you're naturally drawn to regularly. And it could be that you choose to have one colour on the interior of your car and choose a clashing colour somewhere else on the car, because that is a really great way of expressing your personality. Your car is an extension of who you are, and it's expressing your personality in a really fun and in a really positive way as well. If you don't want to put too much personality into your car, but you still want to have it very personal to you, I'd say stick to a tonal palette. So they're all sort of similar colours, but tonally they're quite different. And that way you'll have a really elegant and a really classic car, but still it's very unique to you, but it's all tonally very similar in feel.
Of course, it's easy to get caught up in the look of the thing, but this is a car, so practicality has to be a consideration too. Surprisingly, it has 5 doors, even though the rear handles have been cleverly hidden so it looks like a 3-door. There's a surprising amount of room inside too. 2 adults can sit comfortably in the front, and if they're not too tall, in the back. Every model has split folding rear seats, and the front passenger seat folds flat too for longer loads. There's lots of handy cabin storage to stash your bits and pieces. There's also a decent amount of room in the boot for a few shopping bags. So, before we blow the company expense account on shoes and bags, it's time to leave the city and put the car's go anywhere, go everywhere claim to the test. Next, we're heading up the M5 to see what may be the ultimate transformation. It's a motorway service station that is truly a thing of beauty. The engine may be in the boot of the Twingo, but that's where the comparisons with a Porsche 911 can stop. That's not to say it isn't fun to drive. It's light and responsive. Although if you did a lot of out-of-town driving, it might be worth living with a higher-powered engine. This one feels a little short of puff on the motorway. I'm also noticing quite a lot of wind noise reaching the cabin as well. At the moment we're getting around 41 miles per gallon, which is slightly underwhelming considering Renault claims an average of 67. Having said that, running costs overall for the Twingo should be pretty reasonable, unless you get carried away shopping with the options list. One thing you won't need to pay extra for is the R&Go system that drives the technology on the Twingo. You simply download an app to your smartphone, slot the phone in here, and then all the major controls can be operated from your screen. It's all designed to make life easier, and it's important to remember that the Twingo isn't just going to be aimed at tech-savvy youngsters. Integrating good looks and functionality is something the Twingo is doing pretty well, and we've seen it working for people and places too. Our next destination is really going to trump them all. This must be one of the most challenging makeovers ever, a motorway service station. And in the very best design tradition, not only is it very beautiful, it's also a very calm and soothing place. It makes you feel like a human being, and a spoiled one at that, rather than an animal to be herded and exploited. The new look Twingo is also a very appealing place to spend time. It's full of character and style, it's fun to drive, it's also surprisingly practical and spacious. The best bit for me though is that it lets the owner play designer too, and you can truly make the Twingo your own. Now, where's that stylist when I need her?